vite à prendre place à la table du Conseil. Je donne la parole au représentant de l'Afghanistan.
In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Mr. President, at the outset, may I congratulate you upon your assumption of the presidency of this Council for the month of November. We wish you a successful presidency, especially on a very important matter, namely the grave situation in the territory of Bosnia Herzigovina is under the consideration. We also commend the outstanding leadership His Excellency the Permanent Representative of France provided this Council during the month of October. Mr. President, having listened carefully to the presentations of the co-chairman of the International Conference on the former Yugoslavia, Mr. Cyrus Vance and Lord David Owen, as well as the insightful remarks made by the Special Rapporteur of the Commission of Human Rights, Mr. Mazowiecki, and the information provided by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Mrs. Ogata, it is obvious that a clear line divides the oppressor and the oppressed. Bosnia has lost 3/4 of its territory to the Serbian aggression, and its population is being systematically cleansed on the basis of their ethnicity. As it is evident from the report of Mr. Mazowiecki, contained in document S/24766, widespread human rights violations are taking place in Bosnia-Herzegovina, concurrently as negotiations and commitments are taking place in Geneva. The report specifies, and I quote, "As a result of these violations, a great number of people are suffering and have lost their lives. Thousands more find their lives threatened and their human dignity violated. Unless immediate action is taken, many of them will not survive the forthcoming winter." As indicated in the first report, the Muslim population are the principal victims and are virtually threatened with extermination, unquote. While my delegation welcomed the heroic and tiresome work of United Nations Protection Force and the ICRC and UNHCR and the aforementioned individuals, we strongly believe, Mr. President, that more and immediate action must be taken before it's too late for the people of Bosnia. Mr. President, Afghanistan, having itself experienced a terrible war of aggression not too long ago, shares and understands the pain, frustration, and suffering of the people of Bosnia-Herzegovina. We know how it feels when a foreign aggressor, equipped with modern weapons of killing and destruction, invades one's territory and subjects an innocent nation to untold sufferings and inhuman atrocities. Our opposition to the aggression against national sovereignty, territorial integrity, fundamental human rights, and the national unity of Bosnia-Herzegovina is not only on the basis of Islamic solidarity. To the Islamic State of Afghanistan, it is a matter of principle to stand in defense of the oppressed against the oppressor and aggressor. It matters not whether the oppressed is a Muslim or non-Muslim nation. The situation in Bosnia-Herzegovina is a clear case of conflict between justice and injustice, between right and wrong, and between respect for fundamental human rights and disregard of it. That is why we consider it our moral duty to stand firm for the principles for which this organization has fought for decades. Mr. President, certainly the United Nations, through this Council, has made commendable contributions in the maintenance of international peace and security, and has indeed prevented thousands of innocent people from being perished in hotbed areas around the globe. In the case of Bosnia Herzegovina, however, this organization has been the source of somewhat disappointment for all those who believe in international justice and those who have placed their hope and trust in this organization. It may be particularly true to those who question the validity and justifiability of the arms embargo against the people of Bosnia Herzegovina, which seriously hamper their just and inherent right to self-defense. Let's look, Mr. President, at the rationality of such a claim. The Security Council Resolution 71391 itself is an amply sufficient and conclusive proof that the same has not imposed an embargo on Bosnia-Herzegovina. First of all, the Security Council Resolution 71391 was adopted with regard to the conflict between the two sides, Croatia and Serbia-Montenegro, at a time when Bosnia-Herzegovina was not even an issue. Perhaps by no legal or technical sense of the situation, does the Security Council Resolution 71391 pertain to Bosnia-Herzegovina, for the Security Council resolution was passed in September 91, but the conflict in Bosnia-Herzegovina emerged in April of 1992. The closest the item of the Security Council resolution comes to the purport that it is applicable to the Republic of Bosnia-Herzegovina is that which states in its paragraph 6, and I quote, "The Security Council decides under Chapter 7 of the Charter of the United Nations that all states shall, for the purpose of establishing peace and stability in Yugoslavia, immediately implement a general and complete embargo on all deliveries of weapons and military equipment to Yugoslavia until the Security Council decides otherwise, following consultations between the Secretary General and the government of Yugoslavia," unquote. Mr. President, it is perhaps clear from the above quoted text that the Security Council resolution by which the sanctions was imposed on what was called Yugoslavia in September 1991, when Serbia-Montenegro was at war with Croatia. And one thing is obviously clear, that the Republic of Bosnia-Herzegovina in November of 1992 is not the Socialist Republic of Yugoslavia of 1991. From the legal standpoint, one may consider it senseless to contend that the sovereign state of Bosnia-Herzegovina should be under arms embargo and arms sanctions because it once was part of the socialist state of Yugoslavia. Furthermore, the Republic of Bosnia-Herzegovina, after democratically electing its government in early 1992, declared its independence in February of 1992 and subsequently was recognized by the international community as a sovereign state and received admission from the same with regard to the legitimacy of its government. Mr. President, accepting the notion that the sovereign state of Bosnia-Herzegovina is subject to the political dictates that the former Yugoslavia was under may contradict our own national announcement of the recognition of Bosnia-Herzegovina as a sovereign state. It is even more painful to see that the embargo on shipment of arms benefits the Serbian side, which has the active support from the former Yugoslavian armed forces, while it places the Bosnian side in a great disadvantage. Moreover, the sanctions are not being implemented decisively. The distinguished ambassador from the United States named some of these violations in the course of this debate. Mr. President, in our view, every single principle contained in the first page of the charter of this organization have been violated in the case of Bosnia-Herzegovina, as a result of which 70% of the territory of this small, sovereign, and independent member of this world family is illegally occupied and captured, and hundreds of thousands of innocent Muslims and Croats of the country have been expelled from their homes, and the abhorrent policy of ethnic cleansing has subjected the Muslim population of the country to untold sufferings and threatens them with extermination. Mr. President, we hear those who express fears that the lifting of arms embargo could perhaps further escalate the conflict. However, we would have preferred if they introduced an effective and action-oriented alternative to prevent the extermination and annihilation of a nation and the total destruction of a young member of this organization. We have entered into a new phase of world relations. We have denounced and have taken a united stand in the face of aggression against sovereign states. Europe has long pledged its determination to safeguard and promote peace. The horrifying memories of the Holocaust are still with us. But surprisingly, the world community is yet to take a resolute action in the face of a naked aggression against a sovereign state, at least towards removing the unjustifiable arms embargo, thus enabling this victimized nation to defend itself. Mr. President, it is really unfortunate to see the principles of respect for sovereignty, territorial integrity, and non-interference in the internal affairs of states, which are the cornerstone of this organization and that of the non-aligned movement, is continuously being violated by Yugoslavia, Serbia, and Montenegro, who once, as one of the founders of the non-aligned movement, helped initiate these principles as the basic principles of the movement. Serbia and Montenegro could revive the spirit of the then Yugoslavia by submitting to justice and to the call of the international community. We believe that the resolution to be adopted after the present debate should not only echo the previous resolutions passed by this Council on the situation in Bosnia Herzigovina, but rather it be of an action-oriented policy towards ending the calamity in that country. This resolution should clearly and unequivocally warn the Serbian aggressors and their backers that the world will not sit still and that their crimes will not go unpunished. Mr. President, what we need today is not more resolutions similar to the ones already adopted, but rather a resolution for positive action, one which will not bring the people of Bosnia under further strain and disadvantage. My delegation, while supporting the idea of creating safe havens for the refugees within the territory of Bosnia and advocating a tougher non-fly zone for military aircraft over Bosnian airspace, supports also the efforts of the United Nations and its various agencies and NGOs that are currently assisting the Bosnian people. We, however, feel that more is to be done in defending the Bosnians and helping the Bosnian people defend themselves. While appreciating the peacekeeping efforts of this world body, in view of the fact that the embargo has increased the imbalance in the advantage of the aggressor, we believe the unilateral imbalance is in the advantage of the aggressors, and we believe that a unilateral lifting of the embargo is necessary for the Bosnian right to self-defense. And I thank you, Mr. President.
Je remercie le représentant de l'Afghanistan pour sa déclaration et pour les paroles aimables qu'il m'a adressées, et je l'invite à reprendre le siège qui lui est réservé sur le côté de la salle du Conseil. L'orateur suivant inscrit sur ma liste est le représentant de la Tunisie. Je l'invite à prendre place à la table du Conseil. Je donne la parole au représentant de la Tunisie.